What's going on there, guys? We're back with another one, and today we got to talk about Kenny Smith calling out Stephen A. Smith over his takes on Kyrie Irving over a year ago. And Stephen A. Smith from Queens, you got Kenny Smith from Queens, so he's somebody that he'll listen to when he calls him on different things. And you remember that big blow up? I'm not gonna play it again, but the blow up between Jay Williams and Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith was making his issues with Kyrie Irving personal, and it spilled over to Stephen A. Smith having an issue with Kyrie's father, where when they saw each other, it was going to be a problem, and they eventually hashed it out. Stephen A. Smith spoke about that today, but I wanted to talk about this today because Kyrie Irving um, has found a home with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, people are saying that the Brooklyn Nets have blown it and they really messed up by getting rid of Kyrie Irving, but this is what I'll say. When it goes this well, he's exactly where he's supposed to be, if that makes sense. We can speculate that any other situation might have been better or just his talent would have been good in Brooklyn. But I like what Kyrie Irving's able to do, potentially having a chance to win a title. And he just launched his shoe brand. Like, I'm thinking about it from every angle, right? So if he goes on to be a champion and he's attached to Luca, who's big over there in Europe, then that only helps his brand. Even though Kyrie's brand is in China, you can't expand it too much, right? So this will be a good look for him, even just playing at this level, playing this late in the season, being on the team with Luka Doncic. I think it's taken um, him to the next level. And I think Kyrie has been more of a leader than we've ever seen at any point in his career. He talks to these young guys, he gets in their face, tells them where they need to be. Like, Luca still has some things to work on as far as leadership. And so Kyrie coming in, doing that for them, what he's learned just being on Team USA, being under LeBron, being in different situations, I think, sometimes you can become a better leader just based off your experiences. And I think Kyrie Irving is embracing that. So we're going to listen to what Kenny Smith had to say about this last night, and we're going to listen to Stephen A's response. Let's peep it.
Well, I'm just excited, as you started off, that we're talking about him. And there's been like a constant change in the thought process about him by the mass media. As a basketball player, we're not talking about his political or social stances and looking at him in a negative view. And I'll say it. I wasn't going to say it, but, I've never said it to Kyrie, but I've said it to Stephen A. Because at one time, Stephen A. was an advocate about having a battle with this guy. And I had to call Stephen. I'm like, this guy's from our neighborhood. I named like 6 people. And I said, Stephen, those people mentored you. They mentored him. So when you say something about him, you're actually saying it about us. And so he understood, and they kind of fell back. And because as a media person, we have to understand that young men go through young things.
Stuff is good. He self-inflicted himself. He got to take some responsibility. I think he's grown up. I think he's matured. Stephen A. and other people criticized him, and he rightly deserved it. You can't go out there being anti-Semitic, and you can do the vaccine thing. That's your own thing. But he deserved the criticism he got. He deserved the suspension he got. But as a basketball player, I think he's really grown up.
He was 1,000% correct. And, Kenny, a lot of people are my brothers because I know them. I got 2 brothers here. I love both Dougie and Jay. But Kenny Smith and I go back decades. And his brother, Vincent Smith, trained me at Lost Battalion Hall on Queens Boulevard, Dougie and Jay, from the time I was in junior high school. That's how far back we go. And when Kenny said what he said last night, what I appreciated about it so much, fellas, is that I'm very, very big. If you're going to quote me accurately. You want to hold me accountable, hold me accountable. But hold me accountable for things that I actually say and do as opposed to people's interpretation of what I said. That's what annoys me about today's world and this clickbait world that we're living in. Anybody can create anything. Kenny Smith didn't do that. What he said last night is exactly what he called me about more than a year ago. And he mentioned about 6 dudes. 3 come off the top of my head. Rod Strickland, Kyrie's godfather. Gary Howard, former executive director of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, former deputy sports editor at the Philadelphia Inquirer. His brother, Reggie Howard, Three of those individuals that I just mentioned are like family to me. We go back decades. I love them to death. And we all had conversations religiously about it. But when Kenny Smith called me and said to me, he's from the neighborhood, he's one of us. And, you know, when you talking, I understand where you coming from. I understand how passionate and fervent you feel about this. You know, Stephen A., you got to think about that. And the reason why it's so appropriate that Jay Williams is on this segment is because Jay Williams and I have butted heads in the past. You know when we stopped butting heads, Jay? When Kenny Smith gave me that call. Because I was forced to then think about what you were telling me. And I said, damn, they got a point. And then months later, Kyrie sees me. Kyrie comes up and he says, at this point, man, it ain't even about me and you. It's about you and my pops, because we had gotten into it because of Kyrie. And immediately when Kyrie said that, I looked at him and I said, you're right. And I called his dad. And then he and his dad and I, Dedrick and I, met up in New York City. And we made amends, apologized to each other, which is what men should do. And I can honestly say that Kenny Smith is a big reason for that. Kenny Smith is a big brother to me. He's somebody that I not only love and respect, but I look up to. I love him to death.
I want to set this list here because I remember how ridiculous it was when this first dropped. These are the things Kyrie had to do to be reinstated by the Brooklyn Nets. And I knew at that point that it was over. Kyrie's leadership was called into question. And I was thinking to myself, like, regardless of what's going on, I don't think he's going to be the leader of a team. And it's not really an indictment on him. I was just thinking, like, maybe his leadership, what he's going to lead is bigger than just like basketball, And so, in the event of you doing that, the people that run the NBA could deem you not worthy to be in their league, and you be out the league. We've seen it happen to other players, right? And they still had game and everything, but um, they gonna get you out the way when you start talking about stuff that's bigger than just dribbling the ball up and down the court and entertaining them. That's a lot of times they don't like that. So I remember this list coming out, and Kyrie, I think he tweeted something from a film. Somebody had a film or something like that was going on back then, and they deemed it anti-Semitic. Now, I hadn't seen the film, but again, Kyrie, it spawned different opportunities for him, right? Nike ended up letting him go, and then he started this answer brand. He got that going because he was gonna sign. I forget the African American gentleman's name that started his own shoe company. Man, it'll come back to me when I'm not thinking about it. But the guy was on the Breakfast Club before. It was rumored that Kyrie was thinking about signing with him, but he went on and bossed up and started his own, which was the best way for him to go. You know what I'm saying? I think that was cool. Um, I think that was real cool. And then you find out more and more about the shots. Now it's like, okay, well, he ain't want to take the shot. The narratives, continued about Kyrie, but now Kyrie's hooping, man, and they're doing great. And so I just wanted to share this because when Jay Williams was saying that, Stephen A couldn't hear him, but sometimes, it has to be the right messenger for you to get it, or you're going to be a bit defensive with certain people, So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.
Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down.
I'm not going to take it down.
Skip, 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 skip.